So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom, and we have reached tier 10 in terms of looking at the best performing vehicles in World of Tanks right now. At least the best performing tanks according to VB Addict's website. That's a site that collects data from players across all the servers and compiles them into nice, easy to read formats to look at how they performed in the last 30 days. So we're up to tier 10 and it's time to look at heavy tanks. Now there are 19 heavy tanks, and normally I do top 5 and then bottom 3 sandwiched with a game from the top tank. However, I'm going to do 6 this time, mainly because there's quite a lot of fairly unique tanks in the heavy tanks at tier 10. There's 4 of the 19 are unique, and 2 of them are in the top 5. So I'm going to take the top 6 instead, just because a couple of these tanks, well, one of them certainly you will never see, and that just makes it more realistic. So without further ado, we're going to have a look at the top 6. So me deciding to do a top 6 rather than the top 5 wasn't so I could feature my favourite tank at tier 10, but genuinely because there are 2 with with very small data sets in the top 5. So number 6 for the most damage dealt of any tier 10 heavy tanks according to VB Addicts in the last 30 days is the Japanese super obese type 5 heavy, the beast with HE. This thing, this thing just pisses off more unicums than even artillery does, I think, which is one of the reasons why I love it. Why do they hate it? Because it fires HE, and you need no skill to fire HE, whereas you press the 2 button and there's plenty of skill to be had. So don't you think otherwise, people. Yeah, this is the skillless tank. Because it's good and you don't have to know what you're doing with it. But as I say, you can hit a 2 key in another tank and that's skillful. Anyway, type 5 heavy, Japanese super obese tier 10 heavy tank, 28,790 games of causing mayhem in this thing, and it averages a whopping 2,132.77 damage per game. It's a beast. It's a beast, and it's mainly a beast because of this thing. Well, in fact, yes, this thing, the top gun, the 150 millimeters, 15 centimeter cannon. Very slow rate of fire, only 3 rounds per minute. Penetration, nothing to be excited about. 75 penetration. But look at this number, 1,100 average damage with the standard HE, and 1,400 with the super enhanced HE round that this thing fires. And that's one of the things I do agree actually on this tank is people get very excited about the fact that why should an HE round get more damage when it's premium? It just makes no sense at all. If it was a heat shell or something like that, but it isn't. This is just an HE shell, same as the standard one, but it gets another 300 average damage. So we know what all the unicums and all the other hangers-on use at tier 10. Yep, they load it up with a premium HE and they send it out, and it's very, very effective. Dispersion is horrible, 0.5, an aim time of 2.9 is likewise pretty horrible. It doesn't matter because you don't want to be any distance from the enemy with this thing. Even if that 150mm shell hits the ground in front of them, it will do splash damage. It's a beast and I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So here you go, I've got a pretty decent crew. They're only in their 3rd skill, so it's not exceptional. I've got brothers in arms on all of them. So my rate of fire is now up to a whopping 3.71 rounds per minute. That's also using oregano. On Egal, the whatever it is, the premium consumable, load time of 16.1. My dispersion is down to 0.45, so all of 0.05 advantage. So average damage per minute 4,000 of beautiful HE. Fantastic. And of course this thing also has some seriously good armor. Hull armor 270, 160, 150, 280, 210, 200 on the turret. It did get a little bit of a nerfing. These viewports here were, and I think this one here where the machine gun is, were slightly nerfed in the last one patch, I think. But it still is very, very effective. But the way to take these things on is get around its side, because even though that's 160 millimeters of armor there, it's flat. It's flat, so just get around it. And it's very slow to turn, it's very slow to move, and it's got a very, very slow turret traverse. So that's how you take these things on. People always moan about it. Talking of speed, it's a big ass tank. 150, nearly 160 tons, 1,200 horsepower engine at the top end, but it only does 25 kph, and that's with a fair wind and going downhill, gathering speed. And look at that, hull traverse of 20.91 is horrible. Tank turret traverse of 20.05. So yeah, again, pretty horrible. So yeah, it's a beast, and it is an immobile pillbox that wanders around just derping people in the face. That's why it comes in at number 6. So at number 5 we have a somewhat rare tank. This is the Object 260 Russian Tier 10 Heavy Tank. Why don't you see it very often? Well, because you need to be extremely skilled to get this thing. You need to have worked your way through all sets of the personal missions, and this is the final one that you get when you've completed that full set of missions. It's a brute, it's a very good tank, and it's probably gets better results because it tends to be players who are very good, who have got it, because you have to be good to get the way through all those missions. The first couple are fairly easy, but as you get further on, they are pretty tricky to complete and get what you need. So very small data set, 4,400 games, because not many people own this thing, but averaging a really nice 2,157.94 damage per game. And yeah, it's a nice vehicle. So it uses the 122mm standard Russian heavy gun. This is the BL13-1, 5.22 rounds per minute, nice 260 average damage, 340 if you hit the premium rounds, and 68 with HE. 440 average damage is very nice. DPM of 2,296. Dispersion is not awful actually, 0.36, and aim time of 2.5. Of course, it is a premium tank, so you can pack this full with your decent Russian heavy crews, and it will perform really, really nicely. Yeah, so turret traverse 27.12 degrees per second. Only got -5 gun depression, which is one of its failings, like a lot of Russian tanks. Survivability, it's got good armor, really. Well, I mean, I say that. It's nice hit points, 2,100 hit points, only 150 on the front and on the hull. However, that's really nicely angled there. Very nice indeed. That angling really helps it, and although that's not particularly brilliant in terms of paper, the angling allows this thing to bounce shells all the way around. And the fact is that it's not as steep an angle as the IS-3, so consequently if you get the angling just wrong, it will still bounce a lot of shells. And all that lower plate looks really inviting, but it's not as thin as you would imagine. And the turret, 350 on the front, 240 on the side, 100 on the rear. So armor it has in spades, and a pretty reasonable gun as well. Doesn't, well, hang on, that's the wrong button, sorry. Mobility wise, it's okay. It's okay. It's a heavy tank after all. So 61 tons, 1,200 horsepower engine, giving it a 19.58 power ratio and a top speed of 60. Hull traverse of 29.2 is also pretty darn good. So there you go. That is number 5 in the charts for the average damage dealt at tier 10 in amongst heavy tanks, according to VB Addicts. So at number 4 is the British tier 10 heavy tank, the Super Conqueror. one of the newer tier 10 heavy tanks in the game right now. This was introduced to replace the FV that was already there, and it's a very, very nice heavy tank. It takes a lot of familiar, well, you'll be very familiar with it if you used a lot of British tanks, although it has slightly better ammo than you would expect of other British tanks. But it's yeah, it's not gonna make your eyes water when it kicks you, put it that way. But it is a very, very good heavy tank. It comes with just the one gun, 120mm cannon. Let's get the right chart up. There we go. 6.5 rounds per minute is very nice indeed. 259 average pen, 326 if you hit the skill round, and a very nice 120 sorry, with the HE round, which is only a standard HE. It's not HESH or anything, so that's pretty good against light tanks and lightly armoured vehicles. 400 average damage, 515 with the HE, 2,700 average damage per minute, and 0.33 dispersion. Means this thing is a very, very accurate heavy tank, and it has a pretty good rate of fire for a heavy tank. So let's have a look in the charts. So yeah, in terms of rate of fire, you can see I've got a very, very good crew, and I'm up to 3,342 average damage per minute, dispersion down to 0.3, and aim time of 1.83. Gun depression is very nice, -10, and the turret traverse is very good. 34.89 is very good indeed. So a nice tank at this tier. It has nearly 50,000 games, 49,394 games in the last 30 days, and managing to average 2,200.45 average damage per game. Very nice. Survivability, well, it's got a lot of hit points, 2,400. There's a lot of hit points. And the armour is not too shabby, 152 on the hull, which is not great, 100 on the side, 338 on the rear. The turret is 279, but that doesn't do the whole story because of these plates on the top here, on the side here. They will have very good effect against the heat spammed by other people at you, and HE, but still give you a bit of headache. So really nice armour, and a good gun depression means this thing is very much a ridgeline warrior. Mobility wise, well, it's okay. It's yeah, a little bit on the tardy side, so we're getting with this crew and this pimp out 12.21 power ratio, top speed of 34.3. hull traverse is okay, 30 degrees per second, just over. So yeah, very nice. Yeah, very nice indeed. Concealment doesn't have any, so we'll forget that, and spotting, well, that's pretty irrelevant as well at the moment. So that's your number 4, the British Super Conqueror tier 10 heavy tank. So at number 3 in the charts, according to VB Addict, for the most damage inflicted, or the average, the highest amount of average damage inflicted by tier 10 heavies on all servers over the last 30 days, is this thing, the Object 277. I think this is the newest heavy tank to come into the game. This arrived in the last patch to basically follow on from the T10 and the IS. It's fairly mobile, hard-hitting heavy, and that's why it comes in as well as it does. 45,000 games, 2,260.60 average damage per game, shows that it is pretty effective. Has a very nice 130mm gun with 4.8 rounds per minute, 265 penetration with standard rounds, a whacking 340 with heat, and 490 average damage. It's giving an average of 2.352 damage. 2.352 damage per minute at the moment. 0.38 dispersion is, yeah, but it's a close and personal tank, so dispersion doesn't matter quite so much. Aim time of 2.7. So very nice little tank. We're getting armor of 220, which is sorry, health points of 220. Armor is 140, 112 and 80, which is not outstanding. And turret is 290, 240, 224. What's that rounds? So it fires. Oops. Come on. Let me open the. I can't see what kind of ammo it's using. So that's intriguing. It's got 140 with standard rounds, 112 with premium rounds, and 50 with HE, doing 240, 224 and 80 respectively average damage. That's intriguing. Don't know the answer to that. I'll have to look it up. Mobility wise, it's okay. 55 tons. 950 engine power, 17.27 power ratio, and 55 top speed is pretty reasonable. Armor wise, very nice. 140, 112 and 50, 290, 224 and 80 on the turret, so pretty bouncy. Not absolutely OP, but pretty good all the same. So there you go. That is one of the rare tanks. Small data sample, as I said. So only actually no, this has got a big data sample. What am I talking about? Because this has been in the game and people have worked their way to get it. For 45,000 games is pretty good, and 2,260.60 average damage per game is outstanding. So coming in at number 2 for the highest damage dealing heavy tank at tier 10 is the WZ111 Model 5A, the Chinese tier 10 heavy tank. I must admit I thought this would be higher than it was, but it's a very, very good vehicle. 18,152 games, averaging 2,423.07 damage per game. It's a bit of a monster, and it's, yeah, why is it? Well, it's a very, very good heavy with good armor, good gun, and pretty good mobility as well. So why wouldn't it perform as well as it does? So looking at gun, 130mm gun, same as the what's that, the 260 had the same, or the object. So no, the object had 122. The 260 had this gun. 5.36 rounds per minute. It's not awful. 250 average damage, 240 with premium rounds, and 65 with HE. 490 average damage is very meaty indeed, giving it a base DPM of 2,625 and dispersion of 0.39. Aim time is 2.5. Has very, very good armor. 140 at the front, slight bit of angling here which helps. 120 on the side and 60 on the rear, but the turret is 300 on the front, and look how rounded that front is. Yeah, good luck going through that. You won't. 180 on the side and 60 on the rear, so very good. Weight of 50 tons, 750 horsepower engine is a little bit on the lower side, and so it gives it 15 power ratio, which is okay, nothing special. 50 top speed is okay. Traverse speed 37.55 is also okay. So it's a very good heavy tank, good armor, good gun, and that's why it comes in so high in the charts according to VB Addict. So that means number 1 is this thing. Now you might think you know this, and you might well know this, but this is a very rare tank. This is the VK7201K, not to be confused with the Conqueror VII, the other German tier 10 heavy tank. So this thing was a clan rewards tank, by all accounts very popular and very good, and certainly the stats bear it up. Only 2,298 games, but a whopping 2,642.26 average damage per game is very, very impressive indeed. Caused consternation when Wargaming introduced the Panzer VII, because it is basically just a copy of this thing. and people went, hang on a minute, that's my clan rewards tank that I worked so hard, insert cheated, insert spammed gold, to earn. And then you're going to devalue it by introducing something in the tech tree which is basically the same. And Wargaming went, don't worry, never fear, we're here for you, our lovely benefactors and paying guests, and have some special camo. And so everything's right with the world. So the VK, what is it like? Well, I've never played it, so I'm going to have to take my best guesses at it. 15 centimeter, 150 millimeter cannon, 3 shells per minute is fairly slow. 240 average damage, average penetration is also a bit on the weak side, which is why every review of this or every replay of this I saw spammed gold, because 350 with a heat shell is not to be ignored. So yeah, fortunately this is a gold spammer. 750 average damage, 2250 average damage per minute, 0.4 dispersion is not great, and 2.9 is pretty horrible for aim time. So big accurate, very big inaccurate derp cannon that you need to press the 2 key to be effective with, would seem to be my interpretation of this gun. -7 gun depression, it probably is a little bit better off the side here, but still not fantastic in terms of gun depression, so it must be its armor that is very, very good. 2,500 hit points is pretty monumental. Hull armor, yeah, 240 on the front. And although that lower plate is pretty upright, not very slopey, by all accounts that is quite thick as well, so very, very bouncy frontal armor. 160 at the side means this thing is a side scraping beast even. Beast. Hull turret, turret armor is not fantastic, only 200, but again pretty well rounded, and that's a big gun mantle there, which is probably spaced armor and probably makes that almost impenetrable. So from the front at least this thing is horrible to take on. But it's slow, it's goddamn slow. 120 tons, 1,200 horsepower engine, but only 10 power ratio and 33 top speed, 25 hull traverse, so it is slow as hell. So not many of them out there, and you probably confuse it for a Panzer VII if you did see it. But people who, good players, because they're the ones who tend to win this thing through the clan wars, own this, and they are performing in it. A whopping 2,642 average damage per game is damn impressive. Anyway, you know what that means? We're going to have to try and show you somebody spamming lots of gold in it. Right back after this. Okay, time to see the VK in action. This is Azrael with gun. Who is driving the VK for us in this game. It's clearly a he's clearly a player that doesn't skimp on the finer things of the game, although he hasn't got a camo on his tank, but he has got chocolate running, he's got large repair kit, large first aid kit, no fire extinguisher. He's on Runeberg, and he's heading into the city. He's platooned up with a T110 E5, and it's an encounter game, which is very nice for this sort of tank. And even better, there is no artillery, but look how many heavy tanks and TDs. I don't know what was going on this weekend when this game was played. The enemy tank have 1 medium, our tank have none, so this is a serious fight out between the heavies. No artillery, which also helps. AMX was thinking about coming this way, but decided not to. He's got a... what's he got here? Oh, so he's got heat as his primary rounds. Yeah, we can see what kind of player this guy is. Look at this. He's got heat as his #1 shell. There you go. Went straight through the cupola of that Type 4 Heavy. He's got heat in his primary round, he's got HE as his secondary round, and third round is AP. So we're right in with the heat straight away. He's blocked a shot already. There's a Super Conqueror. Now he's got, yeah, he's showing his side. He was trying to use his turret, but actually managed to show his side. And so another big hit on him, 1400 damage. Okay, this is just going to be a knockdown, fight it out on the corner here, and heat shells are going to win the day. Ah, you wasted your shot, buddy. Thought the French AMX was going to come around the corner, but he didn't. I guess he got a call from his buddy in the T110E5 to come around the other side, because he seemed to be doing alright that side. There's certainly more targets around this way, so coming around to support his buddy. T10 out there. Tough to penetrate his turret. And he takes a hit. AP round. Straight through, I guess, what was the lower plate. Let's have a look, see if we can see where that one went. Not sure where that one went. There's a couple of scratches on his front of his turret, but I'm not quite sure on the front of his tank. Not sure where that shell went in, but it did. So decided he didn't like that, and actually this corner has everything pulled back from this corner. When he pulled away, they did pulled away, so he's going back to his happy corner, his happy place. There's a... yeah. You know, Type 4 Heavy's got quite reasonable armour, where you can just put your guns, put your AP shell right through the front of it, because that's the way it works. So the team's doing really badly. 2 plays 5. Can he finish off this guy? Aiming for the commander's hatch. Oh, and he didn't manage to pen him. 300 and whatever penetration was not enough. Here comes the Super Conqueror coming round to play. That was our platoon buddy, just hit him. He's been tracked right there. And, whoa, 800 hit. Very nice. Full penetration with an up roll by the look of it. Type 4 Heavy just manages... oh, Type 4 Heavy's firing AP. Oh, what a fool. Don't fire AP. It's a derp gun. You need to fire derpy stuff. And that's the end of his game. Okay. So, 3,600 damage. You don't want to get into that corner, Sonny Jim. That's our corner. That's what he's just said. Can't really side scrape here with that guy out there. Maybe he can. Maybe he can. There is an AMX. The AMX is dead. Watching his back for all the... oh, Scorpion G from behind took out that object 257, and they're pulling back because, yeah, it's not so good there. With the village all in the enemy hands, it's very, very tough. Very, very tough to push around that gap, because you're just going to get shot in the back constantly. Oh, E100, yeah. Won't give away where that one comes in the list, but that one was not a great positioning, putting his lower plate out and getting well and truly slammed. There's only 18 seconds left. They've got to get a reset here, or this game is done and dusted. Now he knew that T10 was around the corner, but now somebody's got to get a reset, or this game is done and dusted. Gonna have to make a move. 3 seconds. Oh, and somebody's hit that guy to reset him. Right, now we're in amongst it. Now we're in amongst it. Frenchie's been hit. Look at this. This is a barnstormer. It's been tracked. Been hit. But this game is done. They can't wrestle with a VK, surely. E100's failing to hit everything. Through the flat bit of his frontal turret. He's down. I love the disdain he's showing this STA. Just completely ignoring him. And he's going to fire a heat shell at him when he really doesn't need to. Yeah, well, he's down anyway. And there you go. We just turned that game around just like that. He did lose quite a lot of damage, but he's on 7,000 damage himself. Frenchie. Bye-bye, Frenchie. Pull back round. Enemy tanks coming in the other way. Scorpion G's down. This was a tier 10 game, and he was top chosen 3 in a platoon of heavyweight tanks. But even so, he's had a bit of a monster. Although I hate it, he's just firing gold, gold, gold. It's the only thing he's ever thought about firing is gold. Even when he was firing at some of those lower tier tanks or sides of tanks, it was just gold. So it's 11 plays 11. As Shoot once told me, or tells me repeatedly, we're the mugs for not firing gold, I guess, because every other bugger does. Oh, there's a T30 out there. Hang on, there's somebody else coming. Ooh, wow. Blocked the shot. That was the side scraping in action, and put a lovely shot into that object. 257. His platoon buddy is heading around the back of the 257. He's on pretty high health. He's got a lot of health. Oh, look at that. That's the sucker punch. His buddy comes around behind, and the turret goes round on the object. So he then just turns around and smacks him one. Ah, jeez. Okay, so it is. This game is won. Is he going to come off the cap? I think yeah, he is. Look at that. There you go. There's stat twats at their best. There's damage to be done. You don't want to win the game, for God's sake. Comes off the cap, earns a bit of extra time just so he can get another shot into this Ferdinand. Ferdinand's got no hope against that kind of penetration. 350 penetration. No way at all. And that's it. Game over. Game over. So there you go, that was an ace tanker. He got duelist, fighter, fire for effect, shell proof, brothers in arms with his platoon buddy, got steel wool and high caliber. Finished up top of the team. Actually his platoon buddy came in third. Whoa, they're letting the side down. 10,231 damage, 5 kills, 1419 base XP. His platoon mate came in with 3,500 and 4 kills. That's why they got the brothers in arms. As a rail, whatever his name was, fired 16 shots. He hit with all 16 because it was all up close and personal. Penetration 14 times for that 10,000 damage. Took 17 hits himself, 11 of which were blocked for 4,000 damage blocked. 125,000 credits, was also running some reserves. So even with the gold spamming, made a nice profit of 63,000, which if you remove the 61 he got from his personal reserves, would have actually made a profit of 1,000, because that tank is a premium, I believe. Yes, it is, so it gets a boost. 2,129 experience with the reserves running, with the platoon bonus and the premium bonus. 3,700 experience for his crew, would have been 2,500 if he hadn't been running premium. But what am I saying, he was running everything premium in that tank. So there you go, that's the VK in action. VK7201K, the highest average damage dealing heavy tank at tier 10 in the game right now. And when you see games like that, you understand why that is. Okay, so we've seen the best, let's see the rest. And this surprised me a bit, I have to say. At number 17, third from bottom in terms of average damage dealt across VB addicts, across all servers in the last 30 days, comes in the German, very popular E100. I really thought this was much higher than this, but stats don't lie. 36,136 games, 1,702.71 average damage per game. It's got a big boomstick, and you would expect big boomstickers to do very well. This is the same 150mm that's on the VK at the top of the charts. 3 rounds per minute is same. 246 penetration with AP, I think that's the same. 334 penetration with heat, maybe that's 1 less. And 750 average damage dispersion, exactly the same, 0.4. Aim time of 2.9. So why is this thing so low compared to the other one when that gun is identical? Not really sure I understand the logic of it. I mean, the armor in this day of heat and what have you is you know, spammed gold, is not fantastic, but it does have a 200 more hit points, 2,700 hit points. Armor on the hull is 200, 120, 150. turret is 250, 150, 150. And I guess that's the reason why this isn't as effective. It just doesn't have the same armor profile as the other one. That frontal, the turret is pretty flat. Lower plate is pretty weak. So this thing suffers because it is slow. Here we go. What's the speed on this thing? Oh, 9.24 power ratio, 30 top speed, 22 traverse speed. So it's slower, its armor's worse, and its gun is identical. But that's what causes it to finish so poorly down the charts for average damage dealt. So that's number 17. So second from bottom, don't think this will surprise many people, T110E5, the American Tier 10 heavy tank. I've never played it, never want to play it, but by all accounts it is a little bit lackluster, and certainly the stats bear that out. 19,742 games, 1,596.74 average damage per game. It seems to have quite a nice gun. Whoops, if we can bring that up. 120mm gun, 6 rounds per minute is pretty speedy. 258 with standard rounds. Of course, you're never going to use them, so it's going to be 340 with your premium. 400 average damage, so it makes it sort of twice as quick, half as much damage as the bigger guns out there. But DPM 2400 is nice. Dispersion is okay for a heavy tank, 0.35. and aim time of 2. So firepower wise, not so bad. 2,200 hit points, 154 frontal armor, 76 at the rear, and sides 38 at the rear. So really it can't really side scrape, I wouldn't have thought as much, although those tracks are pretty big, so they might absorb a fair bit. Turret 203 is pretty good because it's quite well rounded, and a nice gun mantle there to block a lot of shots. So yeah, it's okay. Nothing spectacular. Mobility wise, it's about half the tonnage of that German E100, that's for sure. Probably even third of the tonnage. Only 54 tons, 875 horsepower engine, gives it a 16 power ratio, which is actually not bad. Top speed of 37 and traverse speed of 31, so it's a bit more medium heavy like, if you like. So there you go, that one is your second from bottom, the T110E5. So that means the bottom of the pile for tier 10 heavy tanks, according to VB Addicts, for the most damage dealt, or the average damage dealt across all servers in the last 30 days, is actually, must be a misprint. This is a Russian tank coming bottom. What's going on, Wargaming? You need to significantly buff this thing, the IS-4. Now rumours are, in all seriousness, some time ago that they were going to buff this because its performance so weak, and certainly it appears that is the case. Only 9,878 games, and it's, yeah, I mean, it's, the armor looks like it should be pretty good, but let's move on. Let's start with the gun first of all. 122mm gun. Well, it's Russian, of course it is. 5 rounds per minute is not bad. 258 standard penetration with AP, 340 with the 2 button, and 440 average damage is okay. Dispersion is not bad either, 0.38, and aim time of 2.9. So yeah, it's okay. Nothing spectacular, but not bad either. 2,500 hit points. It's had quite a number of increase on that, I believe, from the past. Hull armor, however, look at that, 140, 160 on the side, and 100 on the rear. So that thing, although it's quite well angled, is not great. And if you try and side scrape, you're going to make these side bits flat, which makes you be penned easier. So I can see why this thing suffers a bit. 250 on the turret, 200 on the side of the turret, 170 on the rear of the turret. So the turret armor's not too bad, but yeah, could explain why it falls foul of the stats. Oops, don't need to look at concealment because that's really not what it's for. Mobility wise, that's what I'm looking at. 61 tons, 750 horsepower engine, gives it 12.33 power ratio, which is, I guess, compared to the other heavyweights at tier 10, that's not too bad. 43 top speed is nice, and 27.12 traverse speed. So yeah, 1,581 average damage is, well, what's that? Nearly 1,000. Yeah, nearly 1,100 less than the top VK damage dealer. So yeah, this is why it falls in and comes down the very bottom of the pile. That's your IS-4, the worst performing tier 10 heavy tank in the game. Sort your life out, Wargaming. Buff it. So there you go. That was the top 6 and the bottom 3 tier 10 heavy tanks currently in the game, according to VME addicts, for their average damage inflicted across all servers in the last 30 days. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Let me know what you think. I'd love to know whether you feel that's reflective of how you think of your heavy tanks or not. The complete list of all 1 to 19 is in the description of this video, so if your tank that you love isn't there, you can go and have a look and see how you compare in terms of your average damage, and yeah, see what you think of it. But love to know what you think. As always, let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, enjoy your games, have fun, try not to take it too seriously, and I'll see you again soon. This is Gamer Dom signing out.